First and foremost, I would like to thank you so much for taking the time out your busy schedule to interview here with the Davi magazine. Paula Oyinkan, creator of and founder of Rayo and Issa movements. Tell me about yourself. Talk me through your background.
Okay. Oh, this is always one of those questions like, where do I start? Okay, so my full name is actually Paula Oyinkan S1 Macaulay. You know, us Nigerians, we like to have a lot of names. But yeah, obviously I changed that to Paula Oyinkan on social media. My first business I started in 2017, and that is Rayo, which is a footwear company for ladies that wear a UK size 7+. And Rayo, like, I basically started it and then it wasn't really going the way I wanted it to. So for the past 18 months, I really just paused everything and have been reflecting on what I actually want the brand to be. Like, what do I want the purpose of the brand to be? What do I want it to achieve? And from that, I've kind of established that I want Rayo to be a brand that inspires women to be confidently their authentic selves by providing them with the styles they deserve in the sizes that they need. So that kind of leaves it open to like other types of fashion as well. And then in 2018, I started Issa Movement with two of my friends, Jane and Lola. And Issa Movement is a Black empowerment movement that was started to change mindsets, create community, and to empower Black people to provoke change for future generations. So we do that like in a range of different ways. Firstly, we do it through our blog content, the stuff that we put out on our website. We launched a podcast during this quarantine period. And we also have like different video series, one of which is called Making Moves, where we basically interview Black people doing great things within their industry as a way of inspiring other Black people to excel and to just achieve their dreams, you know, and to strive for their dreams. So that's a bit about me. I do actually work full time as well in digital marketing, but that's not the fun stuff.
Yeah, leave that for another day.
Yeah.
And tell me, great, amazing, great stuff. And tell me, what inspired you to create Rayo and Issa Movement?
So with Rayo, I started that because I wear a size 9, a UK size 9 in shoes. I'm quite tall, I'm 5'10" and a half. So I guess naturally I'd have larger feet, but I do think it runs in my family because my family all have big feet. And I just got to my second year of uni and I really started getting into fashion. Like, I just liked buying stuff that was on trend, but I really, really struggled to find shoes that I liked in my size. And that really was how the idea came about, because I just wanted shoes that were nice for me in my size. Like, I didn't think it was too much to ask for. And it was just such a struggle. And being a uni student at the time of kind of having this, I don't know, growth and change as a person, the shoes that were available in my size were just too pricey. It was usually like designer stuff, hundreds of pounds, or it was like, that is literally what prompted me to start Rayo.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, like I said, it went through that process of rebranding where I realised the purpose behind it needed to be more than just I want shoes that I like, and that's why I just thought about how I want it to be a brand that does inspire women to be themselves, because especially women who are tall and women who have larger feet, there's sometimes a bit of a complex, or they feel a bit insecure within themselves, and you do kind of need to have that moment, especially as a tall woman, where it's like, actually, I love my height. Like, this is me, this is who I am, and yeah, I'm gonna work with it.
That's right.
Exactly, and that's what I want. Like, I want Rayo to be a brand that encourages tall women who might not feel confident in themselves to be confident in themselves, and also to be a brand that, you know, tall women who are confident in themselves can actually get the styles that they want, so that they can continue to be their authentic selves. You know.
Sure.
Sorry?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, and then with Issa Movement, I started that because there's a lot of different things that kind of led up to the Issa Movement starting. I went on a walk with my sister and we were just basically talking, and I was asking her, like, this is not even in a way to say like, oh, men are trash, because I don't support that narrative fully, because I know that there are men out there who aren't trash, yeah. But I genuinely was asking her, like, where are like the good black guys? Do you know what I mean? Because I go to events and it's always like women that are taking up the space. It's always women that are at these networking events. So it was a genuine question, like, so where are the black guys? Like, why don't they come to these kind of things? And then from that, I kind of wanted to start a black male mentoring scheme, but I just didn't feel like I was the person to do it, because I feel like it needs to be a black guy to do that kind of thing. And I have seen that there are those kind of initiatives out there, which is really good. But then basically after that conversation, I started thinking about a lot of other things, and I just kind of wanted to create a space where as black people we can come together and have intellectual conversations about things that affect us as a community, because I don't really feel like there's a lot of that out there. I think we're really good at being, you know, doing banter, having fun, joking about on stuff like Black Twitter. And I'm not even against that, because I really like to have like a laugh, I like to joke, I like to have banter. But I also feel like there needs to be a space where we can discuss things like, you know, the fact that black women are 5 times more likely to die during childbirth in the UK, and to discuss things like Black Lives Matter, to discuss things like the pay disparities between certain races. Do you know what I mean? And that's really why Issa movement came about, to kind of educate people on those topics and to create a space where we can talk about that.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's, you see, you need something like that. You really need movements like that to just encourage people, push people together, push them forward. Especially blacks, there's a lack of recognition in many industries, and with it's the movement, the aim, we need to push that forward to change the narrative. Slowly but surely, it is changing. It is changing. It is changing for sure.
Yeah.
And tell me, what makes Rayo different? What's your USP, you know, to other similar fashion companies? What makes you stand out?
So I think what makes us stand out is that there's actually not a lot of footwear companies that cater specifically to ladies with larger feet. I've seen that there are more coming up, but I think what makes us different is the fact that we're hopefully going to be affordable depending on the cost of manufacturing the shoes. So it will be slightly cheaper than some of the other brands out there. The styles are going to be on trend at the time of being on trend. It won't be like, you know, a few seasons back or anything like that. And also, I think the fact that we've got this bigger purpose behind it, like, aside from showcasing our shoes on social media and on the website, we do really want to just encourage women to be confident in themselves through the content that we put out as well. So I'm thinking of creating like mini documentaries and things like that, just talking to women about friendships, talking to women about things that affect us as women, particularly at this age of, like, you know, millennial women, because I feel like that is the target audience. So I feel like during you know, the stages of, well, millennial women at the moment, I feel like we're in a stage where we're really growing, we're becoming our true selves, we're developing in different ways. Like, there's so many different facets to who we are as people, and I want Rayo to really reflect that in the content that we put out, and, you know, in the way we showcase our products and in the way that we inspire people. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that sounds good. And to your other creation, it's a movement. What makes you different from other similar black empowerment movements?
I think what makes us different is the fact that there isn't actually, again, a lot of black empowerment movements out there. And I do feel like black empowerment movements that I know of, they're kind of focused on a particular group of black people. So, for example, BYP, it's not exactly an empowerment movement, but it's doing stuff for black people. That's focused on professional people, and it's focused on helping black people within their professional careers. But I think with Issa movement, it's more about, like, just matters within society that are actually affecting us now. And although we're having the conversation, the aim is to kind of do something about it from that conversation. So our most recent in-person event before this whole lockdown, we spoke about do Black Lives Matter to the NHS. And that was a really great and in-depth discussion. But what we would like is to actually have some kind of actionable steps following that, or even if it's something where like we just donate to you know, an organization that is doing something for Black people within that sector, whether it's for Black doctors or Black patients. Like, we want to be doing more than just having the conversation. Yeah, and because I don't feel like there's a lot of discussions out there. I know of a few organisations that do things similar, maybe online. I know of one that does it in person, and they do different things. But with Issa Movement, we're really just focusing on having that discussion and also hopefully expanding into other cities, because I feel like a lot of events related to Black people are very London-centric and London-focused. But there's Black people everywhere in England, so we kind of want to roll it out.
Yeah, that's it. It goes to more people when you widen your reach, for sure.
Exactly.
And more people can be touched, more people can be inspired, more people can be empowered.
100%.
And tell me, Paula, was there anything else you wanted to be when younger? Was this always the end goal? Think back to young Paula. What did she want to do? What did she want to be?
No, I wanted to be so many things. I think as a child, like most children change the different career paths that they want to be. But when I look back on my childhood, I feel like entrepreneurship has always been in me. And I'll say why in a minute. But the different careers that I wanted to be, like, before the age of 10, I literally changed what I wanted to be so many times. I wanted to be a police officer, I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be a dancer, I wanted to be a singer, like all sorts of different things. But then I think after I moved to Peterborough, which is where I live now, I kind of realised that I wanted to go into law. And then literally for the longest time, I just wanted to be a barrister. That's what I wanted to be from like childhood up until I went uni. Like, I even studied law at uni because I wanted to be a barrister at the time of going to uni. And then it was in my second year of uni, I feel like I had a lot of revelations in my second year of uni, that I realised, like, I just don't think I really want to do law. Like, I realised that I just wanted to do something that I enjoyed. Like, I wanted to live a life where everything I do, I enjoy it. And then I think that kind of stumbled into wanting to work into marketing and PR to connect with people, because I like connecting with people. And then I realized, like, ultimately what I want to do is just work for myself. Like, that's actually my end goal. And then based on that, I kind of realized that, okay, if this is my end goal, that A, I need to start working on it now, and that B, even if I can't do my end goal right now, I need to do stuff that are going to help me get closer to it, which is why I got a job in marketing, because I know that marketing is going to help me to market my businesses in the long run. So, yeah, it wasn't really, I don't know, it wasn't really something that I thought about until uni. But the reason I say I feel like it was part of me for the longest time is because even throughout school, when I was younger, I was always coming up with different ideas. I was always setting up like a new club or a new initiative. Like, I remember in primary school, I set up a cheerleading club, like, and we performed in assembly, and I was so proud of that. Like, I set up this cheerleading club, we performed in assembly. I remember I tried to do a dog walking business, a babysitting business. I set up like a dance class because I volunteered at school. So I thought, oh, I can actually pay people, get paid to do this. So I set up a dance class, and like, I was always setting up different things, like a magazine I wanted to set up. But the thing is, with those businesses, I don't think I ever really followed all the way through. And when I had Rayo, that was the first business that I had where I was like, no, I actually really want to do this. And I followed it through, like, to creating it, getting the shoes done, getting funding for it, and things like that. And that was the first business I had where, like, I actually made it happen.
Yeah. That dog walking business sounds fun. sounds like it.
No, do you know what? I love dogs. Like, I've always wanted a dog, and I've got one now, funnily enough. But I always wanted a dog, and I think that was one step closer to getting one. But it didn't go ahead anyway. I never walked one dog in my life before I got my own one. So.
Well, you've got yours now, so.
Three.
Amazing.
Dreams do come true.
Yeah, you can walk your dog anytime you want. That sounds amazing. And tell me about some of your early challenges, starting out as an entrepreneur.
Okay. I think one of the main challenges that I had, and I think that a lot of people have, is finances to actually start the business. Because with footwear, the startup cost is a lot higher than some other businesses, just because you need to get like certain molds made, you need to get like the actual stock, and a lot of manufacturers have a minimum order quantity. So even though it might be like, I don't know, 30 to 50 pounds to make it, you need to get 50 pairs to actually meet their minimum order quantity. So that's quite a bit of money in one go if you haven't already saved up. So that was definitely one challenge that I faced. And I got a startup loan to actually be able to start the business. But even on reflection, I just think about the way I spent that money for the business, which is like, now I think, oh, I would have spent it so differently and it would be so different. But these are all learnings.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think that was my main initial challenge. But one thing that I've realized is that you can't let something like finances hold you back. And it may sound silly to say, but I feel like things always fall into place at the right time. So if you're putting the steps in place to get to where you want to be, to get to the point of starting your business, then naturally things will fall into place. And that's actually what I've found. So I think you just have to get to a place where you're ready to go. And if it is finances that's holding you back, then at least know that, you know, you're at the point where you can't do any more without money. Do you know what I mean? Rather than getting the money and then just like not really using it effectively. Yeah, that's definitely something I would say.
Okay, so mostly with finances, that kind of budgeting and that kind of thing, working out what goes
Mm.
where, how to structure the kind of, you know, the business as you're starting up.
And I think another challenge could be like, along the journey, you do have like lapses in confidence, and lapses in like, yeah, I think confidence is the main thing, because sometimes it might be that, okay, cool, you've got this business idea, you started the business and you think sales are going to be flowing, but
Yeah,
then you've only got one sale after 3 months and it's like,
yeah,
what's going on? Do you know what I mean? But I think, and even like with Issa movement as well, it's like there's certain times where I'm just like, do I even know what I'm doing? Like, what is the point of this? What are we trying to achieve? And there's lapses in confidence, but I think you can't let those lapses in confidence hold you back either. I think the best way that I've found to deal with it is to literally just keep pushing forward, because things will fall into place in the same way they do when it comes to things like financially. Things will fall into place if you're just doing what you need to do. If you're making sure your content is consistent, you're putting it out there, you're running your events in the way that you want to, you're reaching out to potential sponsors in the way that you need to, then eventually things will come together. And I think that's the key. And I even think like I'm definitely still on that journey as well. And I don't feel like anyone really ever comes off of that journey of like ups and downs and confidence and stuff. And one thing I would also advise is that sometimes it is good to look back, because I think people say, oh yeah, don't look back, keep going forward. But sometimes it's good to look back and see how far you've come, because even though you might not be where you want to be in terms of your goal, like you've come much further than you were. Like you're not at the beginning anymore. Like, you know, you've still achieved a lot of things. So I think that can definitely help in terms of boosting confidence.
yeah, because you do get doubts, and you do get doubts like, where am I going, or you forgetting your why you even started, the purpose, and you can remember the why,
Yeah,
the purpose, why you even started, then
yeah.
that will connect you to where you're going, where you're going to go, and then it will come back together, as you said, it will fall into place.
Yeah, 100% it does.
Having gratitude as well, being grateful for where you are as well. And
That's a really good one. There's this book that I read, and my young sister's reading it at the moment. It's called Live Your Best Life Now by Joel Osteen. I'd really recommend that book, because it's just such, it's so uplifting. I think, to be fair, it's like written from a Christian point of view, and I feel like, you know, I don't know, I just would recommend anyone reads it, because I feel like it's really encouraging and it does make you think about the way that you think. And one of the things that it talks about is gratitude. And sometimes when you look at life from a grateful standpoint, even if that day, like, you're just grateful for the fact that you woke up in the morning, like it really does change how you see the world.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Thanks. I'll be looking out for that book. I'll be looking out.
Yeah, you can read it. Honestly, it's really good.
Yeah. And moving back to your companies, how have they both been informed by your own personal experiences? I think you touched on this a bit, but go a bit more in detail.
I definitely think with Rayo, it literally wouldn't have been born if I didn't wear a size 9 or if I didn't struggle to get shoes. So I feel like that business is entirely shaped by my own personal experience, because I like fashion, I'm into fashion, but I can't get the shoes that I want because of the size that I wear. Yeah. And it seems like such a silly little thing, but I think unless you actually experience it, you don't realize how frustrating it actually is to like go onto a website and see like, oh, these shoes are so nice. You click on it and it's like, oh, only goes up to a size 8. Oh, only goes up to a size 7. Like, it's so annoying. And I don't know bigger problems in the world, but yeah, that's just one thing that is super frustrating. And that life experience just shaped that whole business. And then with Issa movement, I think, you know, being a Black woman, we all go through different things in life. And I think my personal experience has shaped that, because again, I don't think it would have been started if I hadn't noticed certain things at these events that I go to, like, because I go to a lot of different social things where I can connect with new people, things where I can like you know, grow my knowledge of business related matters, things like that. And what initially sparked the conversation was, oh, where are the guys at these events? Like, why don't guys go to these events? And then also, like, you know, just being on social media, seeing how, like, as Black people, we love to have a joke, we love to have banter, but, you know, is anyone actually talking about the fact that, you know, we face discrimination at work? And sometimes being the only Black person in an environment makes you think, oh, maybe it's just me going through this thing, or maybe it's just me that, you know, feels like I'm going crazy when people talk to me in a certain way, and I'm thinking, is it because I'm Black, or is it because I'm a woman, or do you know what I mean? And I think like that personal experience has helped to shape the birth, at least, of Issa movement, because it brings Black people together, and it brings people together over similar experiences, and that's one thing I have noticed from doing these events, because I think to myself like, oh yeah, I just think this, but when I do an event and then I hear the opinions of the people that are attending, and they're saying certain things, and they're saying like, you know, as a Black doctor, they've actually had patients say to them like, I'm not going to be treated by a Black doctor, I want a white doctor. They've had things like that. And even me as a Black person, I don't realize that that's the kind of thing that some Black doctors go through, you know. And that's the whole point of creating this space, so that we can share, you know, our thoughts and opinions on these things that affect us personally, but also what are we going to do about it now. I feel like that kind of went off into a tangent, but
yeah, you know, you answered just in much detail. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. Soon, hopefully, the narrative will change, and it is changing, and continue to change.
I agree. I do definitely think the narrative is changing, like, especially with everything that's going on with Black Lives Matter. I feel like, you know, it's come at a good time, because it's put a spotlight on a lot of companies, a lot of people in the way that they behave. And I do think there is change happening. And that's the main thing. As long as it's happening, and as long as it continues to happen, then I think that's the key.
That proverb comes to mind. If you want to go fast, go alone. Go far, go together. So if you unite and go together, then it will change.
100%.
Let's take it back to, let's go off on the tangent a bit, but something that has been trending a lot, which is police brutality, Black Lives Matter in America. What are your thoughts on that? On
Ciao, that's a deep one.
So we'll take it. We'll go deep on this one.
Oh gosh, I think it's very interesting, because obviously police brutality is something that has been going on for a long time. And let's not even just say in America, because it happens in the UK too. Like, I think my views have always been the same. And although like everything that happened with Black Lives Matter has been quite overwhelming initially when it happened, I was really overwhelmed by the amount I was seeing. but it wasn't anything new. Like what I was seeing and hearing, it wasn't anything new. Like this has been going on for years and years and years. This has been going on even before we were born, you know, like it's nothing new. And obviously I don't agree with police brutality at all. I definitely think like a lot needs to be done. I'm glad that with Black Lives Matter, things are actually moving forward, and then there have been a lot of changes in certain states. But I think from a UK standpoint, we need to kind of like open our eyes. And I'm saying we, but I'm thinking there's a lot of people in the UK who still genuinely believe like this is not an issue in the UK. And I think those are the people that really need to open up their eyes. And what I find so interesting is that it tends to be white people, it tends to be white people that hold these views. And not to get too controversial, but it does tend to be white people that hold the view that this isn't happening in the UK. But I think like it's really, I don't know if it's insensitive to say something like that, especially if you've never actually experienced it. Because if you literally talk to most black guys, they can tell you that they've been stopped and searched at least once in their life. Like those are the kind of things that happen disproportionately to black people, and it is in the UK. Like I've seen footage of black people being tased in the UK. I watched a news like segment where George the Poet was talking about one of his friends who actually the police paralyzed because of the way they actually arrested him. And it's like things like that we don't like to talk about in the UK, but it does happen here, and we need to stop like, you know, trying to pretend like it's just a USA problem, that racism isn't happening here, because it really is. And this is why I also think it's so important for us to have things like It's a Movement, things like there's something called Black Academics, Subjectivity, all of these different platforms where we're genuinely talking about these experiences, because it's black people speaking about their lived experience. And I just feel like I don't understand why it's a fight to be heard. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's definitely great that with Black Lives Matter, a lot of white people are kind of seeing that, oh, actually, this is a real issue, that, you know, they're becoming allies, which is fantastic. But I just feel like, why did it have to be when white people become allies that actually black people are heard? And that's, I think, I don't want to be negative, because I think it's great that a lot of white people and non-black people are coming on board with Black Lives Matter and are advocating for change. But it's just like, even that within itself, we need to ask ourselves as a country, as a community, as whatever, why is it that black people are only listened to when white people are their allies? And that's something that the UK needs to ask themselves. So you can't say it's not racist here. Like, I don't know, but I think we spoke about this as well.
Yeah.
In one of our podcast episodes, because It's a Movement, we've got a podcast now too. But these were like some of the first things that we spoke about, and that was quite an interesting conversation. But yeah.
Okay, I'll be listening. I'll make sure to give that a listen.
Yeah, do. Let me know your thoughts on it as well.
For sure. But what you just said in there is, we can't just pretend that it's only in America, because here there's microaggressions, although it might be more kind of covert, it's still here.
That's what it is.
Present,
it's the covertness. I think British people, we love to just be very subtle with our racism. We love to be very subtle with the way we say things, the way we do things, so that it's like you're kind of like you're on the line. So you're not stepping over the line and outright calling someone the N-word, but like you're also not being racist. And again, it's also something where some people genuinely don't realise that what they've said is offensive. Because I remember when we moved to Peterborough, like Peterborough is not a place where there's a lot of black people at all. There's more now. But I remember when we moved to Peterborough, me and my dad, we went on a walk, and like there was this old white guy, he came over to us and he was being really friendly. He was just talking to us, and he was like, yeah, like there's not many coloured people around here. And we moved in 2004, so it's not like we moved back in the 60s or something. In 2004, and this guy was still saying coloured as if like, you know, it's just any normal word. So it's things like that. Like obviously he wasn't doing it in a malicious way, in a way to offend us, but it's just things like that. You know, we need to have these conversations, even if it is uncomfortable, so that he knows in future that that's not something you should say.
Yeah, it's having honest conversations with like blacks and whites. blacks and blacks, just
Mm-hmm.
between us as well, because we need those honest conversations too.
100%. It's so important because I feel like the media is so good at like perpetrating a certain narrative as well, so that to the point that even some black people genuinely believe that black people are the stereotype that the media puts out. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It means every year we bring this up. Every year, this is the same kind of narrative. It's conversations discussing it every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the next step? But we have to just we have to have kind of conversations. We have to honestly speak about it and call things out and keep up people are doing petition now, donating, everything they're doing. They're making big moves here to try and tackle or eradicate racism.
Mm-hmm.
Change things and change the narrative. Keep the movement going, momentum going.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key. Like, we can't give up. Just keep pushing.
For sure. Now back to your company. So what is this may be a difficult one for you, but what's your single most favorite moment during your time as CEO of both?
What, like individually for both of them?
Yeah,
or just
individually.
I feel like I'll start with It's a Movement because I think it would be easier for me to think of a time that I'm like super proud of. I probably after our events. I think. Oh no. Okay. This one maybe. Oh, our event back in May 2019 where we spoke about do black Brits owe anything to the motherland. I think that was probably it's not my single most proudest moment, but that moment for me was like, yeah, this is really good. Like, this is such a good idea. Like, this is how I felt. Because that event, like, we had such a good turnout. The panelists were just 10 out of 10. The conversation was just so on point. And there was just a buzz in the air. Like, after every event, there's always like this buzz, like this excitement, this just like feeling of joy. And I think I chose that specific event because the topic was on point, the panelists were on point, the conversation was on point, the venue, the sponsors, everything just
everything
like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And it just felt like wow, like we actually did this, which that was so good. I love that moment. Yeah. And I did get that after some of the other events, to be fair, but I think that was the first time where it was just like, yeah, this is it.
What was the event called again?
It was do black Brits owe anything to the motherland?
Okay.
So we've got like a series of events called Let's Talk About, and then the topic was do black Brits owe anything to the motherland? Yeah, that was quite a good one.
Sounds good. And for Rayo as well? For Rayo?
Yeah, Rayo. Okay, let me think. Because Rayo's been going on for long, and I've had some real ups and real downs with Rayo. Like, I feel like Rayo for me has been super frustrating at times. And you know what? I think maybe recently I've felt quite proud with Rayo, like, because with this relaunch process, everything it seems to be so much more organized. I feel like I've got a much clearer picture, a much clearer plan in place. At the moment, I'm creating like tech packs. And then the designer that's been creating the tech packs for our manufacturers, she's been updating the document. And today, actually, I looked to document. One of the designs that I'd done, I was like, oh, yes, this is really going to sell. That's how I felt when I saw that. And I think maybe actually recently, because I can only think recently, like ever since I've realised what the purpose of Rayo was, I felt so much more passionate about it because I genuinely feel like I want to inspire women to be confident in who they are and like be that kind of woman who's like, do you know what, I don't even care if anyone thinks of me in a particular way. Like, I know that I'm beautiful, I know that I'm a queen, and I'm gonna behave like one. Like, that's how I want it to be. And I think when I saw that shoe, I was like, it seems, I don't know, like, because it seems fashion is such like a fleeting thing, you know, it's very superficial. But I think when I saw that shoe, I love shoes, yeah, but when I saw that shoe as well, I was like, yeah, like this is Rayo. This is what
Yeah.
I was thinking about. So yeah.
And what I love about Rayo is the name Rayo. It's just
Yeah.
there's a kind of, it has some flavor to it. What was the inspiration behind the name? Is that like Omotun Rayo? I know there's a Yoruba name Omotun Rayo. Is that?
Yeah, well, like, because I said my full name is Paula Oyinkan Motun Rayo. So
Oh,
it's literally just the last name, or it's last part of one of my middle names.
that's amazing. Love that.
No, I love it. And it's funny because when I first started it, like, I'm just thinking, when I first started it, it was a completely different name. And then I was speaking to my ex about it because like we were together in uni, and he was just like, "Oh, like no, I'm not really feeling that name," kind of thing. And then I was just like debating different names, thinking about different names, and that I could come up with. And then I just thought, well, I want my name to be on it. Like I want this to be my legacy kind of thing. So I want my name on it, but I don't want it to be like Paula, because
Yeah.
it's not that I don't like Paula, but it's not my favorite name of the ones that I have. So yeah, and then I don't know, I just was looking at different parts, and then I just got Rayo like from the end of that name, and literally even the logo has been almost the same since like the beginning, because the guy that designed it like just got it spot on, the name, everything. It just like it bangs.
It slaps. It definitely, it definitely. Ray just goes. It just, oh, yeah, it's short but sweet, you know.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh, in the next 5 years. Ooh. Oh gosh, in the next 5 years I'll be 31, which is
Wow.
mad. I know. But I think in the next 5 years, in terms of businesses, 100% I'll be running my businesses full time. I just want Rayo to be like a household name. Like Rayo is going to be a brand that when tall women, think of somewhere to go for shoes, Rayo is the first brand that pops to mind. Like, and even potentially, I'd like to expand into tall clothing as well. So I would love it to be. I guess I don't want to say a one-stop shop for tall women, because I don't want it to be a place where they can get any and every kind of item they want. I want this to be a brand for like, the real fashionistas who are like, they can't get the kind of clothes that they want in the right lengths, or they can't get the kind of shoes that they need in the right sizes. This is a place that, like, as a lot of people think of ASOS, if they want something, tall women will think of Rayo. Like, I'm going to go to Rayo to get my stuff. That's in the next 5 years, I want Rayo to be that brand. And I want it to be turning over like a good amount of money so that I can get a decent salary, so that I can recruit a strong team. And even lately, I've been thinking about what kind of team do I want? And I just want it to be a brand that has, everything that I get done would ideally be done by a Black woman. Like, I would love to have a marketing agency run by a Black woman doing our marketing. I'd love to have all the photographers, the people that create content for us. Even it would be great to have like manufacturers who are Black women, but I don't really know how that would be possible. But just even if I can't have that, at least I could have like, somebody who manages the operations that's a Black woman. Like, just I want it to be like, it's not even a brand that's specifically for Black women, because obviously anyone can buy from there, but I would love the team that builds this brand to be all Black women. And then for Issa Movement in the next 5 years, do you know what? I feel like my long-term plan for Issa Movement changes all the time, because if you'd asked me this like 2 years ago when we started, I would have been like, yeah, I'd love to have a hub where it's kind of like a co-working space and a space where we can run our events and do all of this different stuff for Black people. But I think in the next 5 years, what I would really like for Issa Movement is that it's a brand where, we're all over the world having conversations about issues pertaining to Black people, and not just having the conversations, but maybe we could be a brand that actually facilitates some kind of change after these conversations. So I think what would be great is if we could roll it out into different cities and potentially have like people that manage the Issa Movement team in that city. So we have different ambassadors for different cities, different ambassadors for different countries, and have these different events everywhere where we're just talking about issues affecting Black people, where we're creating safe spaces where Black people can come, they can educate themselves on what's happening in the world. It could just be a space where they can come for content and intellectual discussions about issues that actually impact them. That's what I want It's a Movement to be. But It's a Movement is actually a social enterprise. So as much as I'd love us to be doing that externally, so we'd be running our events and stuff, but I would also want us to be using this money in a way that is going to impact Black communities in a positive way. So whether that's like we're an organisation that gives grants to Black people who are trying to set up their own business or who are trying to further their education, or do you know what I mean? Just something where we can give back to the Black community.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Rayo, is I know you're mostly online, or you're online. You have online.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future, would you think of opening up your own boutique or having a pop-up stores or things like that?
Yeah, see, I feel like bricks and mortar is dying, like, truth be told, especially when I look at brands like Long Tall Sally.
Yeah.
They were a brand that was specifically for tall women, and they recently closed down. And I think with Rayo, what I would like is to keep it mostly online. Actually, yeah, keep it all online, but then we'd run occasional pop-ups.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will just be a pop-up shop. It will probably be like a pop-up shop with like an event happening. So maybe that's something like, I don't know, pop-up shop, but then we're also having like a seminar for women on confidence or something like that in the shop. So it's like an experience kind of pop-up, something like I think with Rayo, as much as I would want it to be, I feel like I'm spilling all of my secrets here. But even as much as I would want it to be, like a bricks and mortar shop, like I said, I want it to be a brand that inspires women to be confidently themselves. So I would love to have like a Rayo summit in the way that, you know, Forbes have their women's summit. I'd love to have like a Rayo Women's Summit where we just bring women together to be inspired. They do different activities. There's like an awards thing happening as well. So it's more than just the shoes. Like the shoes are just the start of something much bigger.
100%. Big. You got some big plans there. Big. Looking forward to the growth of the next. I'm here to see. And do you have any advice for those they've got doubts? They want to take the plunge into the business industry, but they're hesitating, they've got some doubts. What advice have you got to give them?
I would say just do it. Like, literally, with Rayo, I had that idea since my second year of uni, and I started it like 3 to 4 years later. And it was when I started that I started to learn so much more. And as much as it didn't go to plan initially, I feel like I've still learned so much more. And now I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know like the best way to move forward. And I don't think that would be possible had I never started. And I just think sometimes, honestly, it's better to take the plunge. And the difference between Rayo and It's a Movement is that with It's a Movement, I think I had the idea in like maybe April, May. I think, around April, May time. I spoke to one of my friends, Jane, because she had a blog. I was like, hey, like, what's the process for setting this up? What would you do? And then she was like, yeah, I want to be a part of it. And then the day before I launched it in, I think the 1st of July, I think it was 1st of July that we launched, I spoke to my friend Lola and I was like, hey, I'm starting a Black empowerment movement. And she was like, oh, can I be part of it? And that's how the team came together. And literally, like, the year that we started, we released obviously the first blog post on the 1st of July. And then our first event was November that year. And then the following year, I think we had 2 discussion events, 1 workshop. And this year we had a whole plan for events, but Corona. Like I just feel like that one moved so much faster. And because we're working with other people, because there was a team, like, just to grow and to expand in that way. And yeah, we're just looking to grow, you know? So my advice would 100% be just start. It's good to have a plan, but don't over plan. And I've heard this thing, it's like paralysis by perfection. Is it that? or something like that, where you're just
Yeah.
like, you want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's never going to be perfect. It's better to start and then adapt and then tweak and then change and then go. And as long, like, along the way, you can change it up.
Yeah.
Just start.
You just start, because a lot of people want to, you know, they want to know everything. They feel like they're not ready to start. They want to know everything before they start, but you learn as you start. First,
Yeah.
start, and then you learn as you go on. Literally.
You really, really do.
Yeah.
Do. And I think a lot of people would say the same, because there's only so long you can have an idea before you actually get on with it.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Amazing advice, Paula. There, amazing advice. That's for anyone. That's for you entrepreneurs, you budding entrepreneurs that are willing to get started. You're itching to get started. This is you're cool. You're cool to start. Just start now. What are you waiting for? Just start.
Just start. Buy that domain name.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. Start that Instagram account. Register the company. Don't forget, guys. That's an important step too.
Of course, first and foremost, fundamentals. Can't forget it. But just start. Just start the business. Yeah. Start. You heard it right there.
Yep, you did.
And finally, at the Dabby magazine, we love to ask our guests, if you had an opportunity to speak with your old self, what would you say and why?
Ooh. How old is my old self at the time of me speaking to her?
That's a good question. I'll say, you know, that time when you're, let's say I'll go 10-year-old, that's when you kind of, you're thinking about, you know, dreaming about what you'll be like when you're older. Just before your teenage years, you're dreaming. You're dreaming in your mind. What's my future going to look like? Go back to the young Paula. What would you tell her? Why?
Ooh, I think I would just tell myself to, like, just keep going. Don't be scared to chase your dreams. Like, if you have an idea, pursue it. And don't care what anyone's got to say about you. Like, at the end of the day, other people's opinion of you is really invalid unless they're doing something to your life in some way, unless somebody that, you know, you genuinely respect their opinion, unless it's potentially a customer or whatever, unless it's somebody that is giving you constructive criticism, then who cares what anyone else has got to say? That's what I would say. Be confident in who you are. You're beautiful, you're a queen, you're destined for greatness, and do the damn thing.
That's right.
What I would say.
Yes,
To
so
myself.
Nuggets of wisdom, Paula. Nuggets. Absolute nuggets of wisdom.
Thank you.
Amazing advice. Amazing advice. Again, for you guys, you've heard it here now. If the tea has been spilled, overflowing. The tea has been spilled. It just overflowed. You've heard all the juice. It's all been spilled today. So just get going. Get started. Yeah. And for viewers listening, can you tell us your social media handles? Where can we follow you and your creations?
You can follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. It's both the same. So LinkedIn would be Paula Oyinkan. That's Oyinkan. And then Instagram is the same, at Paula Oyinkan. And then you can follow It's a Movement on LinkedIn too. That's just hashtag It's a Movement. That's ISSA movement. And then on Instagram, it's _ It's a Movement, spelled in the same way. Rayo, you can follow Rayo on Instagram. That's probably the best place to follow it. And that's just at ra.yo. That's our Instagram handle. If you follow me, then you'll probably get updates on all of that, because I'm trying to share my business journey on social media.
Yeah, of course. Love that. Finally, I have to thank you so much. Thank you so much, Paula, for taking the time out.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
I really feel honoured that you asked me to do this, honestly.
That's what we do. We shine a light on especially us BAMEs or or blacks
Mhm.
doing good stuff in communities, inspiring the people, and just really empowering minds and people. That's what we do. We love to shine a light. We're here to do that.
I love it. I love to see it, and I can't wait to see like all the other interviews as well.
Of course, of course, of course.